Chosen ones, pay attention. A blazing fire doesn't tremble at quiet winds, and the universe doesn't waste time arguing with those who go against its plan. It just removes them. Your opponents shout the loudest when they realize they're defeated. They claw and throw everything they have at you, not out of strength, but pure desperation. They fight in the only way they know, trying to break you. But here's the reality. They were never actually battling you. They were going up against the very force that marked you, and no one prevails against the universe. Before we move further, take a second to hit that like button and subscribe. Every interaction signals the platform that this message has to spread. This is how our community gathers. This is how we rise. The world is uneasy around chosen ones, not because of what's obvious, but because of what it can't contain. When you're chosen, you become a ripple in the system, a presence that defies prediction or control. You walk into a place, and the energy shifts. You exist, and illusions start crumbling. That's why they lash out. That's why they murmur behind your back. They believe that if they pile enough doubt, enough conflict, and enough pressure on you, you'll collapse. But let's be clear, a chosen one cannot be shattered. You were designed to outlast the turbulence, to rise when others remain down, to carry a power that refuses to bend. Yet here you stand, questioning yourself, doubting your own brilliance, second-guessing your unique calling, wondering if you might be ordinary. How dare you doubt the gift placed within you? How dare you act like you're alone when every force around you is working in your favor? Your adversaries aren't only coming for you, they're challenging the energy that formed you. Their struggle was already lost the moment you were chosen. They're hoping you react, that you waste your time proving your worth, that you get pulled into their chaos. But the mightiest warrior never fights battles that are already won. You don't clash with those who can't affect your path. You don't answer to those who hold no real weight in your journey. Your quietness will cut deeper than their loud accusations. Your very presence becomes their torment, because they can't stop you, they can't unbalance you, and no matter their attempts, they can't erase what the universe has set in motion. You don't need to wrestle with them. Your only requirement is to fully become who you are. The instant you do, you'll watch them vanish, not because you forced them to go, but because they cannot remain where a greater power stands. The weak always fade when something undeniable steps forward, so straighten up and hold your head high. Let them watch, let them gossip, let them plot. None of it matters the moment you grasp your own strength. They're already gone. For you, the one who was never meant to blend in, the one built to ascend, consider this your signal. If you can sense the spark, if you notice that wave of change, you're right where you need to be. Smash that like button, subscribe, and comment. Every moment you stick around, you draw yourself closer to your own power. Now let's dive in further, step by step. If you're truly a chosen one, you'll feel the pull. You won't be able to stop reading. A true leader doesn't argue with those who lack wisdom. The throne speaks on its own. They've yelled, they've flung everything at you. Falsehoods, suspicions, diversions, hoping something would cling, hoping they could rattle you. But the second you refuse to engage, they lose. Power isn't about who's loudest, it's about who carries the greatest presence. The ocean doesn't announce an oncoming storm. A wildfire doesn't ask for the right to devour what's in its path. And the universe never stops to justify itself when it shifts everything to favor you. They were never truly battling you. They were fighting universal order, and that order is never overthrown. They act as if they despise you, as if they can't stand who you are.
If you can't stand who I am, then you must go see the Most High yourself. Because the Most High made me, not you.
They act as if they despise you, as if they can't stand who you are. But if we're honest, they're terrified of you. Not because of your actions, but because you simply are. The second you stepped into the room, they sensed something heavy and different in the air. They noticed in you what they can never possess, and it torments them. Do you ever wonder why their assaults feel so personal? Why they observe your every step? Why they invest so much effort trying to bring you down? It's because they know they can't touch you. Their biggest nightmare isn't your failure, it's your success. They witness you operating quietly, untouchable and unfazed, and it drives them wild. They live for attention, approval, the constant noise of others' opinions. But you don't need that. You don't need an audience. You don't.
No, I don't live for your applause. Your applause means nothing. I live for the Most High God, who has to rest my soul. You can't rest my soul.
They witness you operating quietly, untouchable and unfazed, and it drives them wild. They live for attention, approval, the constant noise of others' opinions. But you don't need that. You don't need an audience. You don't need applause. All you do is be, and that is enough to threaten their whole worldview. A foolish person imagines they can escape natural laws, believing they can leap from a cliff and somehow avoid falling. Your adversaries assumed they could scheme and manipulate without paying a price, but the universe keeps exact records. They weren't simply testing you, they were defying something far beyond you, and now everything is snapping back with precision. Have you noticed how they're floundering? Their own stratagems are failing. The traps they laid for you are now ensnaring them instead. This isn't about personal revenge. This is correction. Universal order doesn't seek payback. It only restores balance. And that balance is simple. Anything built on dishonesty will collapse. Anything built on genuine truth will stand tall. So you don't have to hunt for justice. Justice is already on its way. They prefer to see you lash out, wanting to know your next move. But you've become impossible to read. You're the storm that strikes unannounced, the shadow that travels silently. A lion doesn't sound an alert before it attacks. A giant wave doesn't negotiate before crashing onto shore. And a genuine chosen one never wastes time clarifying or excusing. You just move, and that's what destroys them. They long to drag you into their conflict, but you chose not to fight in a war that's already won. Instead, you turned away, and there's nothing that haunts them more than your absence. Ever wonder what the ultimate payback is? Silence and success. Letting them break themselves apart while you succeed. You see, they were never your competition. They were never in your class. A precious jewel doesn't plead for attention. A huge storm doesn't need approval to change the landscape. Likewise, you don't have to defend why you can't be beaten. Take a look at how far you've come. Despite every dirty trick, every deceit, every untrustworthy act, you weren't supposed to make it, but you did. And that alone positions you as the most formidable force around. They're out of moves, while you're just revving up. The sun doesn't say sorry for giving off heat, it simply shines. You don't even have to raise your hand or speak a single word. Your mere existence is enough to unsettle them. They feel it even before you enter the space. The energy changes ahead of your words. They stiffen up, and it eats them alive that they can't comprehend the thing you carry, something they'll never own. You barely try, yet your presence makes them uneasy. You act like a mirror, forcing them to see what they lack. Instead of working on themselves or confronting their own shortcomings, they strike out at you. It's easier for them to criticize the brightness of the sun than admit they can't shine like that. They speak about you behind closed doors. They throw shade, twist stories, and make you appear smaller. But understand what that means. They've already lost. A truly powerful person wouldn't spend their time plotting against someone else. A lion doesn't stay awake pondering a sheep's thoughts. The obsession they have with you is proof they feel helpless, and it kills them inside. They can't stand that you don't play their games, that you don't seek validation, that you don't make yourself smaller to comfort others. That's precisely what makes you dangerous. They survive on recognition and attention, while you don't need any of that. Your strength was always internal. You don't chase, you don't beg, you don't explain yourself. You're content just being who you are, and that terrifies them. They wanted to manipulate you, to bend you to their will, but the wind can't be enclosed. They hoped you'd crumble, but you stand solid like a mountain. They wished you'd crash, but they underestimated the fact that you are the storm itself. And now they tremble because none of their tactics work. They've thrown all they've got, and you're steady. They set elaborate snares, and you never took the bait. They tried dragging you down, but you rose above it. That calm, unwavering energy coursing through you is their undoing. They can't figure out how you can keep moving, so steady, even when they think they've cornered you. They're baffled by how you stand tall surrounded by would-be enemies. But understand, they were never your real threat. You, just by existing, reveal everything false, any weak spot, and every false foundation. That's why they fear you. Observe them flustered, overthinking, desperately looking for ways to understand you. You don't need to do anything. They undermine themselves by focusing on you non-stop. Their envy eats away at them from within. Their insecurities choke them. You were never the one in real jeopardy, they were. The day you were set apart, the universe chose to shield you, shift in your favor, and remove what doesn't serve your growth. They were never meant to join you in your path. That's the reason they're falling behind. Their attacks don't connect. The harder they push, the more they loot. They long to be the force that brought you down, but in reality, you are the hurricane. They hoped they could control you, but you aren't meant to be tamed. They thought you'd crack, but you can't be moved. That's why you don't have to battle them or defend yourself or look for retribution. All you have to do is keep being who you are. Nothing frightens them more than a chosen one who knows their own might. A snake always reveals itself. You just have to wait for it to hiss. You never had to hunt them down or sift through darkness to uncover those operating against you. They gave themselves away. They couldn't keep up the charade. At first they tried to appear supportive, smiling to your face, but energy is honest. Standing next to something they can't control, something bigger than themselves, made them slip. And that's exactly what happened. They thought they could watch from the sidelines and plan behind your back, but the weight of their jealousy overwhelmed them. Your steady rise caused them to unravel under their own insecurities. They wanted to observe and dissect your moves quietly, but the instant you started thriving, moving forward without backward glances, they panicked. In that panic, they gave themselves up. They started letting their envy seep out in snide remarks, letting their hostility crack through fake niceties. And suddenly, they were no longer hidden. They were standing in plain view, exposed. That's the reality of being chosen. You don't have to chase your enemies. You just carry on, and they reveal themselves. Each one who stares too hard, following your every action, ends up talking about you more than they talk about themselves. They become so fixated on ruining you that they forget to build anything worthwhile in their own lives. And soon everyone else notices too. People begin to see just how unhinged they are. Who invests that much time trying to harm someone else? What kind of person moves with so much resentment in their heart? Eventually, it all comes to light. That's the ultimate twist. They think they're weakening you, but they're only exposing their own faults. They wanted you to be cast as the villain, yet they're the ones revealing themselves as insecure and bitter. They're the ones so consumed by envy that they can't concentrate on their own advancement. They never just hated your achievements, they hated your endurance. They hated how you kept going when you should have been defeated, how nothing they did seemed to touch you, while they sank beneath their own failures. And the more they tried to sabotage you, the more it backfired, because the universe doesn't let them triumph over you. Every trap they set ends up capturing them instead. Every false story becomes the poison they have to swallow. Every ounce of energy they use to oppose you just depletes them further, keeping them locked in place. Meanwhile, you don't even have to take action. You don't have to go to war, raise your voice, or uncover their secrets. They handle all of that themselves, driven by their obsession with you. That obsession is their undoing. They misjudged you, believing you'd stoop to their level. But chosen ones don't spar with those far below them. They don't roll in the dirt with snakes. They don't waste their time defending themselves to people who aren't even remotely on the same level. That's why your victory is already certain. Your power is rooted in your self-awareness, never stepping off your position while they chase their own tails, drained by jealousy. They can talk and plot all they want, but it doesn't change a thing. You remain untouchable, and they become a forgotten chapter in your story. Whoever controls your emotions holds control over you. They aimed to see you crack, to blow up, to plead, because that's when they feed on your energy, your anger, your hurt. When you offer them nothing, they starve. They call you cold for not playing along. They label you heartless because you won't dance to their tune. But in truth, you're free, and that shakes them to the core. They assumed you'd chase them, try to justify your side, or at least explain why you are the way you are. But you didn't. You quietly distanced yourself, and now they're scrambling, trying to figure out how they lost that grip on you. Detaching emotionally is the sharpest tool you can have. It doesn't mean you're numb. It means you no longer let feelings dictate your decisions. They counted on your emotions to trap you, to guilt trip you into staying, to provoke you into reacting, to keep you tangled in their turmoil. Yet the minute you stopped taking their bait, every tie they had on you snapped, and a puppet without strings is a useless thing. They never considered you'd grow strong enough to leave them behind. Yet look at you now, unfazed, while they unravel under the weight of their own schemes. The most threatening person is someone who can't be manipulated, and that's precisely who you've become. They hurl words at you like daggers, hoping to make you bleed, but you don't, because you've mastered silence. They wanted you to justify yourself, to explain your actions so they'd feel more secure about their insecurities. But you owe them no explanation. Once you stopped needing their validation, you became their biggest worry. They can't handle that you don't flinch at their insults, or that you're not falling apart without them. That's why they're still hovering, still anticipating some reaction. Let them wait. Let them yell. Let them wonder why none of their antics shake you anymore. Here's the bottom line. They never had any actual power over you. You simply weren't aware of it before. They controlled you through guilt, attachment, and obligation. But as soon as you saw it for what it was and chose calm over chaos, they lost all influence. Now they're out in the open, and without your energy to fuel them, they're left with their own emptiness. That's why they throw tantrums or try random stunts to pull you back in. They have nothing to feed on otherwise. Leaving isn't a show of weakness. It's the ultimate sign of strength. It says, I'm choosing my own path. It's a statement that you won't be manipulated. Yes, they'll call you selfish, claim you've changed, brand you the troublemaker. Let them. A chosen one doesn't linger where they're drained. A chosen one doesn't justify their own value. A chosen one keeps going, unshaken and unstoppable, no matter the noise. And that's how you've already ensured your victory. A faint flicker will always resent the sun. You never had to explain anything or prove your status. Merely standing in your own authenticity and power caused them to seethe. They loathe you not because of any specific thing you've done, but because of what you stand for. Your self-assurance highlights their hesitations. Your sense of purpose reminds them how lost they are. Your genuine nature shines a light on their daily masks. Instead of facing that reality, they pour their anger onto you, hating that you aren't afraid to live in your fullness. They've spent their whole existence pretending to be satisfied, pretending to be brave, pretending they've got it all figured out. Then you arrive, showing them what it means to be genuinely real, and it rattles them to the core. You don't have to compete. You don't have to attack. Your very being, lived at full power, is enough to tear down their facade. That's why they whisper in corners, spread falsehoods, and try to tarnish your image. They want to keep you small. They need you to doubt yourself. They want you to question your own light. But here's the truth. They aren't really fighting you. They're at war with themselves. They need you to doubt yourself. They want you to question your own light. But here's the truth. They aren't really fighting you. They're at war with themselves. They aren't really fighting you. They're at war with themselves. They aren't really fighting you. They're at war with themselves.